Hi, guys. Hope you're all having a great weekend. We're moving on in chapter. I know we don't have a book, but I'm following an outline where this would be chapter 5. And this is a continuation of the subject that we started last week, incrementing. Well, it's only going to be incrementing tonight, um, using the plus, plus, minus, minus, incrementing, decrementing um, things within a program. All right, here in the simplest way, here's the way an incrementing number is used. This program it doesn't have anything fancy in it. If you look up at the top, it's only got IOStream using namespace standard. I make a counter, and all counters are integers. When you count, you don't count 1.0, 1.1. It's always just a counting number. So I'm going to make int num equals 1. I could have made this 0. It really doesn't matter where you start, but I'm just going to make this a counter. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a couple columns of perfect squares. So I'm going to see out number squared and an inline, and then I'm just going to put this line here to delineate between number squared and the actual numbers. All right. Something different here. I've thrown this in. I mentioned this when I'm walking around the room talking to people about their last projects. This thing right here. Within quotation marks, if you put /t/t, that space is about, on my computer, it's about 8 blanks. So what this will do is this is going to see out a number, which is going to be initially going to be 1. And then it's going to put out 16 spaces from before the number. So these will be in a nice alignment. I guess what I'm saying is these two tabs will make this go over 16 spaces no matter how long number is. Suppose num was 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I hit tab, okay, which on my computer, like I said, it's 8 spaces each. So 16 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is 4. This would be 12 more. This helps you keep a nice even line of numbers. Something you might want to use. You definitely need to know about it. So give it a try sometime. So I'm going to print out the num. The num is going to be 1 because I declared it up here and assigned the number 1 to it. Then it's going to be some spaces. Then I'm going to see out 1 times 1. All right. And then an end line. Then I'm going to increment the number. Num plus plus. Okay. So num becomes 2. Then I'm going to see out 2, long space. Then I'm going to see out 2 times 2, an indel. And then I'm going to increment again. All right. So 2 becomes 3. See out num, which now, remember this plus plus is afterwards. It's a postfix. So this next line, the num is up to 3. So I see out num, which is 3, a bunch of spaces, 3 times 3, indel, and then I increment again. After this, to be honest with you guys, this has become just a lot of cut and paste. Look at this down through here. I'm pretty sure I did 12 of these. A lot of code there. All right. So each time num increments, I print out num, and then num is squared just because I'm multiplying it by itself. So let's go ahead and run this. All right. Number squared, the line to delineate between the font and the actual squares. So 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 2, blah, 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 blah. And there's the 12. Notice from that /t/t, I've got a nice neat row. So that keeping that in mind that it's basically a tab function. That's another thing you can do to make nice, even columns is to use that. It's got to be inside of quotation marks, but it works out nicely for making, well, columns like this. All right. So you get a feel of why we would use the increment or the decrement. We could have did this back. We could have did this the other way. Matter of fact, I think I will do it real quick. Let's make this 12. Which one I'm going to do here? This will take just a second. Cut and paste this. Everywhere there's a num plus plus, I'm making it num minus minus. I hadn't planned on doing this, but this actually is a good example. Doesn't take a genius to figure out what's going to happen here. All right. Now we start out with the num equal 12. So this is going to see out num, 12 times 12, 144. And then it's going to decrement to 11. So basically, I'm just doing the work in reverse now. All right, let's run this. All right, kind of cool, huh? So that's how you use the increment and decrement in actual real programs. But there's a cleaner way to run these. I'm going to close this out and bring up a modification to this program. You can see I've named this, the file I just ran is perfect squares, and this is perfect squares better. All right, to start out with, it's got a lot in common with the last program. Again, nothing fancy up here at the top, IOStream and using namespace standard. On this one, I made int first num equals 1, int last num equals 12, and then int num, a new integer named num, and I'm going to make it first num. So num equals 1 and first num equals 1 at this point. All right, got the same header, number squared, and a line to separate. Now here's something new, and this is important because this is one of the real perks of any higher level language. All right, this is a while loop. Loops are so important in computer programming. So watch how this works. While num, which is now 1, is less than or equal to last num, which is 12. So basically I got while 1 is less than 12. We're going to do whatever's inside of these two brackets. We're going to do this. All right. So watch what happens in this. All right. Num equals 1. Last num equals 12. So that is true. So we see out num. So it's going to see out 1. It's going to put the spaces, and it's going to multiply 1 times 1, then endl. Then it's going to increment. All right. 1 becomes 2. Now we go back up. We loop back up to while num now equals 2. It's still less than or equal to 10. So now we're going to do the loop again, or we're going to do the loop again. Num equals 2. Then it's going to print out num times num, which is going to be 2 times 2 equals 4. Then it's going to go down and increment again. It's going to be 3. Now let's go back up to the top of the loop. All right. 3 is less than last num. It's going to do everything again. 3 times 3 is 9. It's going to go down to the bottom of the loop. It's going to increment. Then it's going to go up and check the condition again. It's 4. 4 is less than or equal to last num. So it's going to do it again. It's going to keep doing this loop. It's a while loop. It's going to keep doing it up until this condition is not met. All right. So at one point, this is going to be num plus plus equals 12. It's going to go up. The num plus plus is going to make num 12. We go up here and check. While num is less than or equal to last num, the condition is not met. It goes out of the loop, goes down, and finishes the program. So this is going to loop 12 times. Notice how short and concise the type is. I'm going to run this now. Right? This does exactly like that cout, all those couts I did a few minutes ago. This is just a lot better way to write the code, because watch what I can do here. I'm going to change this 12 to 100. That's all I do is I change that to 100. Watch what happens. It goes down to 100 square. In probably, I don't have enough. In less than a second, it did that. Right? All we have to do is change that number, and this will just loop through from 1 to whatever last num is. All right, I can just make last num 3. All right, let's see. There's really nothing else I can do with this program. You probably actually need to write a little bit of code. I know most of you are just scrambling around just to get this done, to get the points in and everything. But look how short this code is, how easy this would be to write. You really kind of need to run this just to get a feel for it. Just to summarize it again, you start out with a number. Oh, that's something I can show you. Watch this. You can also control, let's start at 9, and let's go to 19. All right, with this kind of program. So first num equals 9. Last num equals 19. Then we're going to put first num into it. So num equals 9. It is less than or equal to 19. It's going to run. It's going to square 9. Then it's going to increment to 10. Then it's going to go back again and check this. 10 is less than last num. So basically, this is going to do all the squares between 9 and 19. We run this. Okay. Strongly suggest that you run this. We're going to have a program on using, the increment, decrement, and a while loop. Whatever program we're going to do, it's going to have a while loop in it. And the one thing I will tell you, and I'll have some more videos on this week. While doesn't just have to be a number. While can be a word. It can be like while something equals yes, you keep going, and then you re-enter a number, yes or no. And as long as you keep saying yes, it'll keep looping, right? There is one more thing I do need to show you, and I didn't even think about this. I'm going to take out this num++ and run this program. All right. Okay. Now, what happens is this loop has no way of increment, or you'll get caught in an infinite loop. Look at that. 9 and 81 is just going to keep looping forever. All right. This is also kind of a little bit rough on your computer doing silly stuff like this. but 9 and 81 just keep looping. It's 9 cannot be incremented. So it just keeps going. It keeps going back to the top of the while statement. Say while 9 is less than, I believe, 19, do this. And it does it over and over again. This has already did it a couple, 3,000 times while we've just been watching this. Okay, so don't forget when you've got a while loop, okay, you need some way of incrementing or some way of getting out of the loop. Otherwise, you have an infinite loop, and that's a bad thing. C++, num++. All right, like I said earlier in the video, I strongly suggest you all do a real quick while loop. You can do anything you want. Start with any numbers you want. This code, you can see it can even be shortened. Take that out. You can take out, because you'll just be practicing, take out the comments. Okay, that's pretty short, and I would suggest you do it to kind of get a feel for this. All right, guys, have a great weekend. I will see you all Monday, 3rd, 4th, and 6th periods. Have a great rest of the weekend.